And I did. But the officers on the boat, they had their own mess.
Mm-hmm.
If you'd like to see that menu, I'll send it to you.
Yeah, we would get a chance to look at it. That would be
Yes.
great. Now, the time on the Queen Elizabeth, how long did it take to come over, to get over to where you were going?
5.5 days later, we were in the Clyde River in Scotland.
Mm-hmm.
And we disembarked on October the 5th at a little town called Greenock in Scotland.
Where'd you go from there?
From there, we got on, they put us on a train, and we went right to Tidworth in England. That's just somewhere north of London. I don't know exact distance away. But that's where that was our destination, Tidworth, England. And that was an old English cavalry barracks there.
And let me ask you, when you were actually on the Queen Elizabeth, did you know where you were going? Did they tell you where you were headed?
No.
When did they tell you were like coming into Scotland? When you got there?
When we got there.
Yeah.
When we got there, yeah, right. I guess they didn't volunteer a whole lot of information to the troops. They just told you where.
Told you where to go.
At the time of departure, they said, we're going, you know, and that's it. Pack up your A bag and your B bags and let's go. And that's what we had. That's what infantry soldiers at the time lived out of. 2 barracks bags. They were called A bags and B bag. A and B bags. You had all your possessions in those 2 duffel bags. Yeah.
When you got off and you got on this train, did they tell you where you're heading on the train in England?
No, I remember, I forget, Oxford, I think it was, going to Oxford, England. The Germans were bombing that place then. And that was our first baptism of fire.
They were actually bombing?
Yeah, they were actually bombing that city.
How did you avoid that? Do you know? You remember?
We didn't have any alternative. We stayed on the train. That's all. We were on the train. Train kept on going. I think it did stop. It did stop in Oxford. But then we didn't get off the train or anything like that. We just stayed on it. Yeah.
Did you see the bombers? Did you hear them?
No.
You just knew that they were bombing?
I only saw the bombers just one time.
Mm.
I saw them, and they looked like they were so close you could reach out and touch them.
Really?
But that was sometime later,
Right.
down in Plymouth, England.
You got down to Tidworth Barracks?
Yeah.
And that's where you guys were going to make your camp then?
And we trained there on the Salisbury Plains for about 6 months, 7 days a week. Church call was on Sunday after we came in from the field. And
6 months. 7 days a week.
Yeah, 7 days.
Wow.
And there, again, it was just regular infantry training, you know, that we've been doing right along.
And and your home was Tidworth Barracks, though.
Yeah, Tidworth Barracks.
And what are your quarters like? What's that like?
Let's see now. My quarters, it's a long room. It may have been 60 feet long, let's say. And cots, we were sleeping in cots at that time. On each side of the room, all the way up. At one end of the room, there was a fireplace. And that was the heat for the whole barracks, for that whole room. You didn't get much heat out of it. All we had to burn in there was coal dust. And they made little bricks out of coal dust. And if you get one of them burning, it was all right. You know, it's hard to get them going. But we managed, you know. But that little fireplace at the end of that room was all the heat that we had. And it got cold over there. It never did get bitter cold, but it was cold enough, damp, you know.
This would have been the winter of 42 and into 1940.
That was the winter of 1942, yeah. And sometime, I think it's in March or April, we left Tidworth and we went to a little town near Plymouth called South Brent, Brent it was. And we stayed at South Brent for 3 months, training in the moors there. That was right on Dartmoor. And
well, that's good. That's excellent. You know what I want to do, Bill? I'm going to stop for just a minute here, and then we'll pick up with part 2 of this. Thanks. I'm going to just put this on hold.